Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Real Hazardous. Today I'm going to show you how I do my deep drop rig. This year when we were down in the Florida Keys this past summer, we were having a great time catching some blue line tilefish, some yellow edge grouper, stuff like that. We're going to be doing some more deep drop fishing, pretty excited. But I wanted to share the deep drop rig that I used because when I went through YouTube, I noticed a lot of people's deep drop rig was different from mine. Now the good news is my deep drop rig is a lot easier to make. It's very simple and it's cheaper. And it was very effective. I mean, I caught a lot of fish on it. I had the underwater camera, above that rig. I didn't see any major issues with it. So I'm going to share it with you guys. I'm going to keep on using it. And I'll tell you about some of the pluses and minuses to this rig. So to do this rig, all you need is line and hooks. That's it. Nothing else. No swivels, no crimpers, no crimps, nothing else. There's stuff we can talk about that you can add later, but it's really simple to do. The line that I'm using is 100-pound mono leader. Nothing special about it. And the hooks, I'm using these 9/0 hooks, inline circle hooks. Depending on what you're going for, if you're going for black belly, rosefish, rosies, if you're going for blue line tile, bigger golden tiles, then you might want bigger hooks or bigger leader. But the cool thing is this is an interchangeable rig, so we're actually going to tie this whole rig, and then a lot of times I'll show you for the video, I'll put the hooks on, but I won't even put hooks on until I'm ready to go fishing. So another good thing about this rig is there's only one knot I'm going to be tying the entire time. So you can start top or bottom, it's all the same. I'm going to start at the bottom, and this first loop is going to be the loop where my weight goes. All I'm doing is taking this line, and I'm just going to, I've got it doubled up into a loop. Got the end here. Just going to take it, going to make a loop like this, and now I'm going to just go through that loop 4 or 5 times. Simple enough. That's all you do. You go through it. I've got a loop over here. I've got an end right here. Now I'm going to wet it and pull it tight. It's getting tight. So bam, I got a loop that I'm going to put my weight through this loop. Now I'm going to do the same thing to make the loops for my hooks. So I'm just going to move up a little ways, put a little space, and now I'm making another loop. I'm not cutting at any point. However big a loop you want, you can customize it. It's all pretty simple. I'll try it about like this. I know it's going to get shorter by the time I tie the knot. I'm not referring to marriage. I'm referring to literally tying a knot. Usually at the ends I might do like 5 loops, and in the middle of the rig I'm going to do 4 because never had a problem with 4, but even with 4 it would only just slide to the other knot and then stop, so I'm not worried about it. Same thing, gonna wet it and then just pull it tight, just like that, and bam. So this is gonna be my weight over here, and my first hook is gonna go on this, but I'm not gonna put the hook on yet. I'm gonna continue adding these dropper loop rigs. I'm going to do 5. If I was doing, I might do like the same rig for bottom fishing, for like for million snapper or trigger fish. It's a good rig, but I wouldn't do 5 on that. I may only do 2 or 3. But when you're going so far down deep, and you've got an electric reel, It's good to have a bunch of baits because the fish may get a couple of these, and if you only had 2 of these, you'd have to come right back up and rebait it. But with 5, you're more likely to get a fish, you know, before they steal all your baits. You do want to make sure that these loops can't touch because the hooks could get tangled if they can touch. So I've got plenty of space between these 2, that's good. And now I'm going to do my next dropper leg. Same thing. Going to make a loop. Got a loop. And now I'm just going to go through that 4 times. Nice and strong. Yep. So there we go. Kind of see it. I've got 2 loops. But I'm not done yet. So this will be number 3. This will be number 4. And this will be my last loop. There we go, number 5. Now, I'm gonna do one more loop, and this will be a smaller loop, although it doesn't have to be. You can do it the same size as for your weight. And the smaller loop is simply where the snap swivel on my deep drop line is going to attach to this. So when I pull this out of the bag, one end's gonna go weight, one end's gonna go my snap swivel. All these loops in the middle are gonna get a hook, which I'll show you in just a second. And I am going to make sure I give plenty of space because if you do your loop right here, right next to this loop, a lot of times I've seen this hook will get caught up in your snap swivel and it'll cause problems. So make sure you have enough space so the swivel's here and there's, you know, they're not touching, can't touch. And again, this can be a small loop because you only need it big enough for your snap swivel to connect to it. Okay, cool. See, now I just got to cut the line here. And then at the very beginning, where I started, I had a little bit of a tagline. I want to clean that up. Don't want to leave these big pieces because it'll cause tangles, and you know, it's just more stuff in the water that I don't want to have in the water. So, a lot of loops. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna put this in my tackle bag like this, because boy, you can get a mess, okay? What I'm gonna do is when I am ready to put this in the water, I'm gonna have my hooks there in a box. I'm gonna have this, I'm gonna pull out of the bag, and you simply just push this through the eye and then loop it around the hook and pull it tight. And bam, you'll have 5 of these, 1 on each loop. Now one thing I do as well is notice, it does, to me, I feel like it's better for hookup ratio if you go through the top and then loop it over. See how this is kind of putting more pressure on the eye. I feel like it helps set that circle hook in. For example, if I went, instead of going up and then over, if I went down and over, see, down and over like this, it's actually pulling away. Like, I feel like there's not as much of a moment to pull this in because it's a little closer in. Probably not a big deal if you did it this way. I'm sure you'll still catch fish. I just personally think it's a little better. You get a little bit more of that hook set by going down from under and then pulling it tight like that. You know, when the fish is trying to pull it against it, see how this is naturally curling inside? So, just a little thing. But, there you have it. You've got one for the weight, and then bam, you're gonna have hook there, keep pulling, hook there, keep pulling, hook here, hook here, hook here, and then a snap swivel. Now the downside to this rig, one, it's lighter. I see a lot of guys doing 200 pounds, mono, really heavy stuff for deep drop. I don't know how well the fish can see. I try to go stealthier, you know, lighter whenever I can. And I like 100 pound just because I can do this dropper loop rig. If I went to 200 pound, I'd be doing crimps all over here. And this is just really quick to do. I slow down for the video, but man, I can just knock these out in no time. It's 1 knot, the same loop, 1 on each end and 5 in the middle for hooks. Super easy to do. Super cheap too, because you know, swivels and crimps and all that stuff, you know, add up in cost. But now the next big thing is I'm going to show you guys how to keep it organized. To keep this organized, this is very important because otherwise it's going to take you a long time to get this in the water when you get out there. What I like to do is I take the end and I'm going to start making these loops, you know, coiling it basically. I'm going to make a coil, and then I'm going to have my dropper loop, and then I'm going to make another coil. I'm just going to start coiling this up. And then just every time I get to my loop, I'm just going to kind of leave it in the same spot. Looks like a tangled mess, but it's not quite that bad just yet. Dropper loops here. Keep on going with it. here. And that last one, this is the end. So I'm going to take a rubber band, and I've got this one coil here. I'm going to go ahead and just use this rubber band to hold all these in place. Pull it tight like that, and then just do a little overhand knot. Okay, so bam. I got that. I've got all these dropper loops here. This is where my swivel is going to go. I'm going to leave this out to the side. I'm going to go ahead and put a rubber band about around these as well. And just do that overhand knot. Doesn't really matter what knot you do. Okay, so here we go. This looks kind of crazy, but it's pretty organized. See, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in a bag by itself, no hooks on it. And then when I get out to the spot, I'm going to go ahead and take this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to snap this to my rod, my main line, the swivel. It's going to snap in place, boom. And then I'm going to undo this, and I'm going to slowly peel it off, and then just pull the first loop through. When I pull it through, I'm going to put a hook on it, and then I'm going to hand it to my dad, and he's going to put a bait on it. And I'm slowly going to work these out one at a time, hook on, bait on, and I'm just creating a line because I got a lot more space to work with in the boat. And then boom, I get to the weight, and then you're just going to ease it in the water. So that keeps it organized, so when you get out there it works better. If you want to see what I'm talking about exactly, I'm going to put some links in this video of our different deep dropping experiences in the Keys, our different trips. And you can see it shows in there how we kind of put them all down and organize it, how I pull it out of the bag. And you'll just see some cool underwater footage from 500 feet down of these tilefish eating this rig. So it does work. You'll get to see it in action. The downside to this rig, as opposed to the heavier rigs, is this. If I have one fish on, no matter how big the fish is really, it's not a problem, right? Because my drag's set to a certain amount. Even if that fish is pulling, he'll take line, but it's not going to put any undue stress on this line. However, if I have one really big fish on the bottom of this rig and one really big fish at the top, they're fighting against each other, that could put more stress on this line than it can take, depending on how big the fish are. You see, at least with a reel, in the drag settings, it'll give if the fish wants to pull. But if two fish have these rigs, they'll put a lot of pressure on it. So that could potentially be a downside if you're going for really big fish, big snowies, maybe big old tile fish, then yeah, you may want, the 200-pound line. But for the blue line tiles, rosies, stuff like that we're getting in the Florida Keys, this really worked great. So, I'll keep using it. It's nice to have, keep testing it, and go from there. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you learned a little bit about my deep drop rig. If you guys got any tips or suggestions or anything you do, comment below. Let me know, what suggestions you have. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.